Hey everyone, I'm excited to be bringing you the very first Q&A with a professional. I'm thrilled to be joined by the insanely talented Tiffany Millard, currently of Hamilton's and Peggy Tour. Tiffany, how are you?
I'm doing well, Sheree. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, I'm so appreciative that you took the time out to join me today to do this. So thank you. Tiffany is a longtime friend of mine. She's like a sister to me. So this is very exciting, and I'm honored to have her and be able to pick her brain today. So let's jump right in.
Good.
Tiffany, firstly, Alex Wong sent us a message. He sent two waves and a smiley face. So I wanted to take a moment for us to just say hi, Alex, and thank you for sharing the love. Kayla V asked, how long have you been dancing, Tiffany?
All right. Ooh, okay. I have been dancing for 27 years.
You're,
Wow. I
that's,
just did the math. Yeah. 27 years.
that's perfect. But I think that thought probably comes from you. Did you start dancing when you were young? Tell me how you discovered dance. What was your introduction to dance?
Yeah. So when I was 4 years old, I think my mom had it up to here with my clumsiness. And she was like, I need to put her in something that will give her some poise and grace. And she found Mind Builders Creative Arts Center in the Bronx. That's where I'm from, Bronx, New York. And she enrolled me in classes. And from then on, I just continued dancing.
That's amazing. So that in and of itself is exciting. I think just starting at a young age like that is pretty cool because, you know, with 27 years now of experience, you've been in it for a while. From there, from the Bronx, kind of where did you go from Mind Builders that and then like journey and lead us up to today, whatever and however much you're willing to share?
Sure. So while I was at Mind Builders, my mom was looking for an opportunity for me to study more in depth. So she found MS 180, which is a middle school in the Bronx, a performing arts middle school. So I was able to study dance there. And I auditioned and thankfully got accepted into LaGuardia High School for Music and Art and Performing Arts in New York City, also known as the Fame School, if any of you are familiar with the Fame School. So I studied there as a dance major, and then I went to Florida State University where I met Sheree, and I graduated from there with my bachelor's in fine arts and dance in 2011. And after I graduated college, I returned to New York where I planned on pursuing a career in concert dance, meaning I wanted to dance in dance companies, specifically modern or contemporary dance companies. And I was freelancing a bit and dancing in different projects here and there while working as a teaching artist in the city. And a friend of mine who was on the international tour of West Side Story invited me to audition with her for their next round. So I was like, okay, I love that musical. Why not? It's a great movie. And that ended up being my first musical theater job. And I fell in love with it. I love the aspect of dancing, singing, and acting. And I was able to travel all of Europe, like 10 countries and 17 cities for a year, which was an incredible experience. And after that, had a bit of a lull. You know, I was hustling, auditioning as much as I can, but things happen, and I wasn't able to get the jobs that I really wanted for reasons that I don't know. But I'm thankful for the journey that I've had thus far. So after that, I ended up freelancing again with artists in New York City. I booked Chicago the Musical in 2017, which was amazing. That was another dream show of mine. So I got to travel the country, went to, I forget how many states, maybe like 18 states and several cities, which was fun. And then right after that, I did Memphis musical at a regional production in Long Island. And then right after that, I joined the Ampeggy tour of Hamilton, which I am currently in kind of, sort of, with COVID, all of that. So that's my journey in a nutshell.
Yes, and it's so amazing because I think it allows for you to have a number of different experiences, even just in the realm of musical theater. and traveling and, and of course, I know dancers, we have maybe, possibly in our professional careers, the lulls in between, but still having that opportunity to teach. Was that something that still kind of, of course, I'm sure fed you, but how would you compare that teaching experience and the going back and forth, maybe between the two, amidst having, a job or touring for a little bit and then going home? How was that kind of, how did that play out for you?
I really enjoyed it. And I use the quote, it's like my mantra. It's like when you get, give, when you learn, teach, by Maya Angelou. And every time I've had an experience where I'm performing, I always take that with me and I use it to give back through teaching. I actually went back to Mind Builders a few years ago to be on their faculty, which was such a rewarding experience because I grew up dancing there, and then they sent me on my way and I was able to come back. So having that as a job in addition to performing was really fulfilling.
Yes, that's amazing. And I think with that, I know we got another question from someone that asked, what do you think about someone starting dance late? And I know late can, be relative, but of course, when you maybe haven't been dancing since you're, 4 years old, or it's something that you've grown up doing, maybe kind of what advice would you give someone who wanted to pick up later in life?
Well, I actually know quite a few people that are in the company of Hamilton with me who started at 13, 14, 15 years old and are incredible artists. And I would say, just based on like their experience and from what I've seen from others, is that the amount of dedication that you put into your work will pay off no matter how old you start, as long as you're committed to honing your craft and striving to do excellent work, then you'll be able to compete amongst people who started when they were young, and just having that confidence within yourself and having that drive, knowing that you will be successful in this field will get you really far.
Let's go right into Hamilton because I know I know everyone. If everyone's as excited as me, then it's like it's time to jump in. So you're a part of the Peggy tour, and I know Hamilton has many companies touring, and of course it's on Broadway. But I think there's something special about your company, and I would like for you to share what that is and kind of how your company has had the experience to, go and travel to a different location as well as have the show sit down in California. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I can start with the day I got my offer, which was August 15, 2018. My agent called me and she basically said, "Congratulations, Tiffany, you're going to be, well, you were offered the role of," I'll explain that later, in Hamilton and Peggy Company in Puerto Rico. And I was like, Puerto Rico? The show's going to Puerto Rico? I hadn't read anything about it.
Mhm.
And she's like, "Yeah, with Lin-Manuel Miranda playing Hamilton." And I was like, wait, what? Are you serious? Like the Peggy Company, the sixth and newest company is going to be in Puerto Rico with Lin himself. So that was a crazy experience. So I think that made it so much more exciting, knowing that we were going to be the company going to Puerto Rico, being able to raise millions of dollars to give back to the arts community in Puerto Rico, and having the opportunity to perform the show with Lin-Manuel Miranda himself for 3 weeks, 9 shows a week, which was insane. And then in February of 2019, we relocated to San Francisco, where we performed at the Orpheum Theater for about 13 months, which was incredible.
Amazing. I remember honestly when you told me about it, and it felt genuinely. I was like, I'm in Hamilton, It felt like, yeah, I get to take this journey with her. I guess the next question I want to ask you, because of that and knowing how impactful that is, having gone to Puerto Rico, doing it with Lin-Manuel, what does this show kind of mean to you? How has it affected you, or how does it impact you almost like in totality? Because it's such a show full of like layered and rich content. How do you kind of take that in as well as deliver it on a regular basis?
Yeah, that's a great question. So when I saw the show for the first time in 2016, I was immediately uh, drawn by the spectrum of color on stage. and what that means to have such a diverse cast representing the United States of America in musical theater, which is predominantly white. It was so profound to me, and I knew that I wanted to be a part of something like that, or tell a story that was so rich and often challenged what America was really founded upon. Um, so I would say that that was the most powerful thing for me, to be a part of something that is telling America's history through a diverse cast. And this spectrum of color what the fabric of this country is made of. So being a part of that, it's such an honor. And also how the music and the storyline and the choreography just resonates with so many people, and how it's affected and drawn people into musical theater who wouldn't have um, been interested before. I think the use of, like hip hop culture, I think has drawn a different demographic than we would have ever seen before. And just having the representation of color and diversity on stage has also drawn people in. I know that's what drew me in for sure.
Yes, that's amazing. It's so true. And it's amazing to see, as now, we know the tours have happened. I was, fortunate enough to be able to see it. It came close by. So I went to the TPAC in Nashville, Tennessee, and I was able to see it live. And I know I was like, texting you about everything, like, oh, this, oh my gosh, just trying to really absorb it, as well as like now it's on Disney Plus. I'm not going to mention how many times I've watched it, but but to have it that, be that accessible now as well, I think it's just, breaking barriers and it just beyond and out of bounds in so many ways. That's necessary for the climate of this country right now, and just has been necessary, since its inception. So it's amazing also that, it's lasting power. And I look forward to seeing it again, and again when we get back to everything, or whatever our new normal may be. With that, I guess I'll kind of, veer off just a bit, but because I know we have safer at home orders and everyone's being cautious, that shows are not up right now. How is that kind of, how's it affected you? And what have you been drawn to, I guess, in this time that you have kind of away from the show and away from performing on such a regular basis?
Yeah, this is a great question, because I truly miss performing.
Mhm.
It's so weird to just be doing something every day for so long, and then it completely being taken away and beyond your control. However, I am so thankful for this time, because I think because I've been performing or dancing for 27 years, I haven't really taken the time to focus on other things I may be interested in as much as I'd like. So I've been using the time to take acting class. I have a piano here. I used to play piano when I was younger, so I've been practicing here and there. And I take class from time to time, dance classes, but I'm using this time to really enhance my other skills. I also started DJing, so I practice on my control system from time to time, and I'm applying to grad school, and that's really exciting. So I know, had I still been performing, I would have pushed that back, and I'm just using this time to soak up as much knowledge as possible.
Thank you so much for sharing that, because I sometimes feel like as artists and performers, and within our training, that we don't sometimes take that time to rest. And rest looks different for everyone. It's reading. It's like you said, venturing into other areas and interests that you have. And I think that's beautiful. And I'm glad, people are able to hear that from you and you sharing that. Back to the show now. So tell us what your role is in Hamilton the musical.
So I play who is the Bullet. She is in the ensemble. Uh, if you've seen the show, I'm sure you'll notice her. She's close to Hamilton a lot, and I think Andy Blankenbuehler, who is a choreographer, I think it was very intentional for him to have her in close proximity with Hamilton throughout the show. I don't want to completely give it away, but she plays a pretty pivotal part of the show, and she carries the through line with the. I mean, I guess the bullet is the most literal sense. Like she actually plays the bullet, so I think that helps in explaining my role.
Definitely.
She's awesome. She's exhausting. Very exhausting role. I have to wear knee pads the whole show because my knee's always under bruise. I'm sliding, jumping all over the place, killing people. But but it's a great role.
But that will give those who have seen it and even those who have not a little bit more insight or, a way to view the show from a different point of view or a different perspective. So yes. What would you say is your favorite part of the show?
My favorite part of the show is the room where it happened. I will say I'm Team Burr. Out there. I love his storyline. I love the arc and just his emotional journey throughout the show is really fascinating to me. And I think the room where it happens is kind of like it's hitting its apex, and he's like at this point where he's about to just lose it. And the music and the choreography, with his journey, it just makes it so exhilarating to do. And Andy's choreography in that particular piece, a lot of it I find to be inspired by Bob Fosse. Just like the slinkiness and like the shoulders back, and it's very jazzy and very technical, which is what I enjoy doing. So I would say the room where it happens for sure.
Awesome. I will be watching it again as soon as we finish. Tiffany, do you have any pre-show rituals by chance? Like, is there anything that you must do before you go on stage?
Yes, so I enjoy making playlists. So I have a playlist that is dedicated to Showtime. It's called Showtime Playlist. And I listen to that while I'm doing my makeup and I'm doing my vocal warm-up. So it's like lip trills and articulation exercises and doing scales. I try to do it in the bathroom because I can be pretty loud and I don't want to distract anyone else. And I do that. I do a pretty thorough like a ballet bar, just to like warm up my joints. I might do like some planks and some ab work because the show is 2 hours and 45 minutes long and it really rips your body apart. So making sure that my body is warm and ready. Every show is really, really important to have longevity.
Right. You'll have to, give me hip to the routine and teach me the vocal drills so that I can get into it too. Do you get nervous any before performing? And I'll even take that into maybe just like auditioning or anything in the realms of knowing as a performer, even if, like I have this job or I've had these jobs, is there anything that's like, oh, I'm nervous,
With performing, not so much, as I've done the show like over 500 times at this point. So I don't really get nervous with the show. However, with auditions, yes. Especially when it's something that I'm not as confident in, i.e. tap. Tap auditions really, really get me nervous. And singing callbacks, I get pretty nervous. Dance callbacks, I'm okay because that's something that I'm used to, but singing, I'm not as comfortable singing in front of a panel. So I take extra preparation, lots of breathing exercises. I try to practice very early and get to my appointment early so that I have enough time to like calm down. I want to be as prepared as possible because singing in front of people is nervous because there's nowhere to hide.
Right. Even if your family's coming, does that affect you at all? Like if like, oh, my family or friends are here, or does that drive you maybe in a different way? You're like, yeah, I'm pumped, I'm ready to go.
Yeah, I would say it definitely pumps me up. Like I'm always hyped when people are in the audience for me. Like it really keeps me going, especially if I'm having a tired day. Like if I'm performing in a matinee, but I know people are coming, then I'm just like jumping out the gate.
That's amazing. Okay, that's so awesome. Do you have any funny or maybe embarrassing performance, stories that you would be willing to share with us, even if it's not in Hamilton, from Chicago, anything else, concert dance back at FSU, anything funny or maybe slightly embarrassing that's happened to you on stage?
Let's see. Well, this was in Puerto Rico. We were doing our dress rehearsal. Thank God it wasn't an actual show, but it was the night before opening. And there were so many quick changes in Hamilton. It was so hard to keep track of all of them. So I'm sitting backstage, which is rare because we're on stage like good 85 to 90% of the time. And I'm sitting talking, I'm like, oh, I have time to rest. It's the King's number. Great. And then all of a sudden he's like, everybody. And I did not change out of my corset into my vest. So now I'm running on stage, downstage, right, singing. And everybody's like looking at me. And I'm like, what? And I like run off and go backstage immediately. But I think for me, that's the only flub that I've had, major flub that I've had. It was with wardrobe.
Okay. Oh goodness. So how or who, let's see, who or what are your dance inspirations? And I phrase it like that because sometimes it can be, like I'm inspired by this individual, or when I was 5, I saw Don Quixote and it inspired me, to dance. Do you have one or both of any like dance inspirations?
Debbie Allen is a huge inspiration of mine. Just like following her journey, and she, she started in Fame, and she was Charity and Sweet Charity. She was Anita in West Side Story on Broadway. Like this woman has had an incredible career. She produces, she directs, like Different World and Grey's Anatomy. Like she's done it all. Directed on Broadway, like. I'm just so fascinated by her journey. And even at, I think she's about 70 now, 71, that she's still creating, that she hasn't let time or her age stop her from creating new work. And she has her own studio in Los Angeles. Like she's literally done it all. So she's a huge inspiration to me and someone who I aspire to be like and hope to meet one day. And something that did inspire me was when I was at MS 180. I was a student, probably like 10, 11 years old, and the Ailey 2 company came to our school every year to teach us repertory. And we learned a part of Revelations, the iconic Revelations, and just having them there, seeing these people of color come in and teach us, and then going to see them at City Center in New York, it made me feel like my dreams of becoming a professional dancer was attainable.
Yes, Miss Debbie Allen, like still moving.
Yeah.
How amazing to have had those experiences too at such a young age, which cycles back around to just like you said, even in your teaching experience, wanting to give back everything that you learned or things that you've had and along the way for yourself, to be able to share with the younger generation of dancers. Would you say you've had any maybe obstacles in your career or throughout your dance career? And if so, would you be willing to share maybe what they were and how you kind of got past and beyond and through those things?
Yes. So I can go back to after I got off of tour, West Side Story, and I was in this lull. I auditioned regularly, several times a week, and I just wasn't getting to where I wanted to go. Like I was getting these callbacks, but I wasn't getting booked for anything. And I felt really discouraged because of that. I was like, I invested all of this time and money into honing my craft, and I just came off of this amazing tour. I was expecting to at least book something that I wanted, and I didn't. And it made me question my what I was doing and why I was pursuing this as a career. And I actually booked something the following year, which is really exciting. I booked a production of Memphis at a regional theater. But a week before I was scheduled to leave on contract, I tore my MCL. So I went from not performing rather, for about a year or so, or not booking any gigs, to then booking a job, and then I wasn't able to do it because I got hurt. So I was really, really devastated when that happened, and had to decline, of course, and ended up getting knee surgery. And during that time, I had to figure out, okay, is dance something that I want to continue doing? If so, how am I going to get there? So I had to immediately get out of the mindset that I wasn't meant to do this anymore and figure out how I was going to get back or better than what I was before. So I used the time during my injury and recovery to take acting classes because I figured if I want to be a musical theater actor, I have to be a triple threat. So because I couldn't dance, I took acting class. I took my singing lessons. And then once I was able, I started slowly getting back into dancing classes to where I was really confident in myself because I had focused on my other two skills, which were necessary to be successful in the career, and had them almost as equal to what I felt like my dance skills were. So then when I came back, I was a better competitor.
Again, just, it's definitely a nod to how incredibly talented you are, but also, just insanely focused and driven, in everything that you do. And it's inspirational. And I think it's important for people to hear some of the trials and the different tests we go through as well, because I know oftentimes it's just the outside looking in, like you just woke up and boom, the show happened. But this has been amazing to hear, the ins and outs of the journey, and the good and the bad and how you handle that in order to continue to, keep marching towards your goals. So I really appreciate you for sharing that with us as well. I guess just a couple more questions and I'm going to let you go. But what advice would you give to young dancers out there?
I would say study as many styles as you can. Uh, I think in today's world, dancers are so multifaceted and are so versatile that it's really beneficial for you to study different disciplines, whether it's West African dance, ballet, jazz, tap, um, hip hop.
Yeah.
I think they're all equally important and equally valuable to creating a well-rounded artist and learning the history of each so that you have that knowledge and you can put that in your work. I think is really important. And also taking time to rest. I feel like we are so like perfection driven that we don't really take time to rest. And I feel like sometimes when we don't rest, we become burnt out and it kind of defeats the purpose because if we're too tired or we're not performing at our best, then how can we be greater? So I would say taking time to rest is really important.
Definitely, definitely. That is right on. I agree with you. And lastly, Tiffany, what keeps you grounded?
What keeps me grounded? I think just knowing that I have so much more to learn as an artist and just so much inspiration around me, I think makes me hungry to learn more. And knowing that I will always be a student
Mhm.
keeps me grounded. Like, even though I've attained a certain level of success, uh, there's so much more that I want to achieve. And just constantly being a sponge and reading and taking class keeps me grounded for sure because there's always something that I could learn.
Definitely. Oh, you are incredible. I just want you to know that. And I'm so grateful that you took the time again, and I'll keep saying it over and over, to sit down and chat with me today. I know that this will be useful to someone out there. And so I'm very grateful that you were willing to share as much as you did with us. So I would like to just say thank you. Please continue to take care of yourself. And, I'm wishing you continued success in everything, of course, that you do. Grad school, tap dancing, everything, everything, all of it. But I look forward to, of course, always continuing to follow your journey. And again, to everyone out there, I'm going to give you Tiffany's information so that you can follow along as well. Tiffany Millard, the beautiful Tiffany Millard here, people. I just can't thank you enough. But this has been great, and I am excited. Is there any last, things that you would like to share with us before you go?
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be interviewed by you. You know how I feel about you, so I'm really, really happy to be
No,
here. And I hope that this resonates with you guys. And yeah, follow me if you want to ask me any questions. Feel free.
thank you so much for lending yourself to that. Well, this has been our very first Q&A with a professional, and we look forward to many, many more to come. Thank you again, Tiffany. And for now, guys, that's it. Bye.